Good day. It's Stephen Bruck with another Messianic moment. Like my shirt, I now have shirts to sell. Remember that God has no religion. And my website on the back. If you like the shirt, let me know. We'll make arrangements again. They're about $20 and shipping and handling. If you're enjoying wearing it, you agree with it, I'd love to have you have one. Makes a great Hanukkah present. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Hanukkah, but we are going to talk about something similar. Christmas, just for a moment, because it is Christmas time. You can't avoid it, right? I mean, let's face it, the advertisers come earlier and earlier every year. I was in sales, and I can tell you the one thing that makes a sale important is the sense of urgency. Okay, it's not very urgent when you're about a month or more ahead of Christmas saying, "Oh, special sales, special sales." I mean, Black Friday, they advertise Black Friday for a week before. They have Black Friday sales before Black Friday, and then the Black Friday sale is after Black Friday. So, I mean, really. Anyway, at this rate, by next year, they'll be advertising Christmas for 2020. Meshuggah. Anyway, what I want to talk about is how most people today, those of us especially who are in Hebraic roots, Messianic, or Christians that are knowledgeable, realize that Christmas has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus, who was born probably more around the time of Sukkot, and that Christmas came about by Constantine trying to get people who were celebrating, that's right, Saturnalia, which was the winter solstice holidays. He converted to Christianity, which is what they were calling it by then. He wanted all his pagan friends to come over. And so even though he was the emperor, he still had to make this appealing. So what he did is he created a wonderful holiday right around the time that everybody's used to worshiping. And we think, wow, that was kind of smart from a political viewpoint. You got to admit it. It was a smart thing to do. It was good advertising. But he wasn't the first guy to do that. Did you know that? He wasn't the first guy to do that. Do any of you know who the first one to create a holiday meaning man-made, vice holy day, which is God-ordained? Who was the first guy to create a holiday close to and similar to another holiday that people were used to celebrating in order to turn them towards himself and away from what they were doing before? Let's take a look. It was 1 Kings and Jeroboam. Let's take a look here at what happened. 1 Kings 12:26-28. Jeroboam thought to himself, "The kingdom will now likely revert to the house of David. If these people go up to offer sacrifices at the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem, they will again give their allegiance to their Lord, Rehoboam, king of Judah. They will kill me and return to King Rehoboam." Because Jeroboam was talking about the need to go to the temple in Jerusalem to worship, he was talking about one of the 3 holy days God ordained where the Jews were supposed to go to Jerusalem, which would be, of course, Passover was one, and that started on the 10th day of the first month, and then you had the 7 days of unleavened bread after that. Well, it started on the 10th day because that's when you picked the lamb. Actually, the sacrifice, the eve of Passover, was the 14th day, and then it went for that. The other one was Shavuot, which was 50 days later after counting the Omer, and then the third one, which was later in the season, was Sukkot. Those were the 3 times of the year that you were supposed to go to Jerusalem. The time they get up there 3 times, they're going to go back to David's line. I didn't want that to happen. So what did he do? Well, he wanted to get them to worship under his tutelage and under his location. So he created, what else do you do? When you want to turn people away from God, you create a golden calf. You put up an Asherah. You set up a barbecue for your kids so you can worship Molech. So he set up golden calves. The ever nasty golden calf, the God who brought you out of Egypt. No, total lie, but that's what the people were used to hearing. Even hundreds of years later, they still had that in their memory about the golden calf. And of course, they see them all around them anyway, because we didn't get rid of all the Canaanites and all the Hittites and all the other tites that were out there. So they always saw Baal and the golden calf and the Asherah poles forever. And he set that up, and he did it so that he could turn their hearts towards him and worship his gods. But he wanted to make it close. So what did he do? This is where he set it up. Let's take a look. 1 Kings 12:31-33. Jeroboam built shrines on high places and appointed priests from all sorts of people, even though they were not Levites. He instituted a festival on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the festival held in Judah, and offered sacrifices on the altar. This he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the calves he had made, and at Bethel he also installed priests at the high places he had made on the 15th day of the 8th month, a month of his own choosing. He offered sacrifices on the altar he had built at Bethel. So he instituted the festival for the Israelites and went up to the altar to make offerings. This is what Constantine did. He created Christmas to pull people away from the temple in Jerusalem, and he put it very close to the same month that they were used to going to celebrate Sukkah. And he even has a nativity scene. So there's an outside environment, just like having a sukkah. Very similar, easy to get people to move over, especially back then. You know, people didn't have calendars. They really didn't always know the 7th month from the 6th month. People didn't always keep close check on that. The people who were keeping close check on the holidays and the calendar actually were the Levites. They would keep a watch for the new moons. They'd watch the new moons. They'd count the new moons. You'd have to have 2 witnesses, not 4, but 2. 2 witnesses to identify that it was a new moon, and then they would light signal fires on mountaintops all the way from Jerusalem all the way up to the northern kingdom to let people know, hey, the new month started. And that's how they kept track. And it was very different than we would do now. So it's very easy. If you're the 15th day of the 7th month, the 15th day of the 8th month, very easy for people to, get confused. And so Constantine was the first one to do it. So as you're celebrating your holidays, whatever you want to do, just remember where the origins are. I don't think anybody celebrates Christmas really today believing that it is a pagan holiday or paganizing it. It's tough. It's tough. I see a lot of discussion. I'm not going to go into it here. I'm not going to go into it at all because it's up to you. You have to do what you feel right. But I think it's easy for everybody to agree with we should not be celebrating pagan gods or pagan ceremonies. And if somebody says, well, December 25th was originally a pagan holiday, well, that was Saturnalia. Christmas was never originated to be a pagan holiday. Christmas was originated to be a memorial to the birth of Messiah. It wasn't when he was born, and the way it came about was totally wrong. But, did the ends justify the means? If it was based originally on a horrible time, but it was created in order to bring people from that horrible worship to a more reasonable, a more righteous worship, I don't know. Is that really wrong? If we're worshiping who we're supposed to worship, just because it used to be a time when they worshiped pagans, but now we've made it something that is worshiping Messiah, I don't know if that's really such a bad thing, such a terrible thing. You got to get past the past, really, sometimes. It's not like we're eating meat that has been dedicated to idols, all right? If it's been dedicated to an idol, it's always dedicated to an idol. You don't eat that meat. But if this holiday was based and created sometime around the same time a pagan holiday was created, and it switched over, and they said, well, stop worshiping pagans, we're going to worship God. I mean, you could really say, hey, I used to worship a golden calf, now I worship Messiah Yeshua, So does that mean that my worship of Messiah Yeshua is wrong because I used to worship a golden calf? No. I mean, if I got rid of the golden calf and if I have nothing to do with it anymore, then it's gone. Anyway, you all have to individually figure on that. But I just wanted to make a point today that he wasn't the first guy to do it. Constantine learned how to separate pagan from Christian worship by Jeroboam, who separated proper worship of Adonai to pagan worship. So in a way, it's kind of funny. The guy who really did this went from proper worship to wrongful worship, and the guy who copied him went from wrongful worship back to a more proper worship. Kind of interesting how things happen. Well, in any event, have a great day. Thank you for listening. Again, subscribe to the website. Subscribe to my website, messianicmoment.com. Yeah. And if you like the video, please share it out. keep an eye on my website. Check out my books. If you like the shirt, give me a note. Send me a note. We'll arrange for you to get one. And again, have a great day and enjoy whatever holidays you worship, as long as you worship the right guy, Messiah Yeshua and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hallelujah. Baruch Hashem.